Hello, I am Red Mage, and welcome to a Magic the Gathering video featuring the color red. In today's video, Naya Pia in Wilds of Eldraine Standard. This deck is wild. It is built around Pia Nalaar, Consul of Revival, which is a legendary 2-mana 2/3 with the ability Thopters you control have haste, and whenever you play a land from exile or cast a spell from exile, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. So the idea is to pair Pia with the adventure creatures from Wilds of Eldraine since they get cast from exile. Cheeky House Mouse and Pollen-Shield Hare are pump spells on the adventure side. Heartflame Duelist is a burn spell, and Questing Druid is card advantage like Reckless Impulse and Wrenn's Resolve that help trigger Pia. It's important to note that the timing restrictions of the Seek the Beast side of Questing Druid are different than the other two. Whereas Reckless Impulse and Wrenn's Resolve are sorceries that exile cards you can play until the end of your next turn, Seek the Beast is an instant that exiles card you can play until your next end step. You have to cast it on your opponent's turn or in your end step if you want access to the cards on your next turn. Rounding out the deck are Kumano Faces Kakkazan and Monastery Swiftspear, which are both the best turn 1 plays in the deck and helpful at 1 mana for turboing out Pia's Thopters when cast from exile, as well as 2 new removal spells in Torch the Tower and Witchstalker Frenzy. And finally, Samut, Vizier of Naktamun, which is a good value card in our colors and can draw a ton of cards off of Pia's Thopter tokens. This deck can be a lightning fast aggro deck as well as a late game value engine with a combo finish in the form of Pollen-Shield Hare and its hair raising adventure. It can be difficult to decide when to go all in on the aggro plan and when to hold back and get value. As a general rule, if you have time to survive to the late game, you should usually go for value rather than speed. For a deck that rarely spends more than 2 mana on any spell, this has an incredible amount of inevitability. The mana base is a mess. You obviously play 4 of each red-white dual land, but aside from that, I am not confident at all that this is the right configuration of lands. You need untapped mana on every turn of the game, but you often don't have it, which is the biggest weakness for sure. I got the idea for this deck from a video by Ashlizzle, which is linked in the description. Next are 2 games that exemplify the wonky mana base, the difficult decisions, and the overwhelming late game power of this deck. And then we'll come back at the end to wrap things up. Enjoy the gameplay. Naya Pia. This is a slow hand, but we have the Pia, so we're going to give it a shot. Up against mono black, it looks like. Well, they're certainly going to kill anything that I play here. So I wonder if that means I should just do nothing and Seek the Beast on their turn. That might be the way to go, actually. They shouldn't be able to do anything if they don't have a removal spell to cast. So that's a little weird, but let's just do that. Phyrexian Obliterator, that is going to be a problem. We do have this Pollen-Shield Hare trick if we can build up enough creatures to kind of get a all-in-one turn sort of kill. But that probably is a long shot before we're dead to the Obliterator. So, unfortunately, in order to play the mouse, we have to play the Rockfall Vale before the Pia. And the Pia might just die next turn. There's a good chance. I mean, they almost certainly have a removal spell, but... Oh. But they might think they can race that way, which they very well may be able to. But in the meantime, I'm going to be able to go off a little bit with the Pia. So we definitely want to Witchstalker Frenzy the Shieldred this turn. So it looks like we just start with Questing Druid, make a Thopter. Cheeky Mouse, make a Thopter. Go to combat. Attack with everything. Kill the Shieldred. So, either they have a Wrath, or they almost certainly die. That's a 5th land. Okay, they don't have it. I was worried about Kix's command. That would have been the end of the game for sure. So it's almost certainly the case that we'll be able to just attack with everything here. I'm worried about a single removal spell. Obviously they're dead if we just cast the Hare Raising. But if they just have a removal spell, then we don't get to play the Hare. So I think we play Swiftspear. We play the Hare. Pump up the tokens. Attack with everything. We're gonna torch the underdog. This should be enough that there's, like, if they have two, if they can kill the Hare, kill the Druid, they're still dead. Yeah. So if they had been also able to kill the Hare, that would be 3 less damage from the Thopters being 1/1s instead of 2/2s, and they would still be dead. So yeah, there was really, I don't think there was anything they could have possibly had to survive there. Alright, Naya Pia. This is a reasonable hand. Not super explosive, and it doesn't have a Pia, but there's a lot of value. Oh. Okay. Some kind of big graveyard value deck. Well, we needed a land there. Oh wow, no value. Well, that's cool. Okay. Alright, we hit a white source, so we can pump our Heartflame Duelist. Maybe. They could have some kind of removal spell. Leyline Binding, alright. Well, next turn we will be able to do Pia, Rockfall Vale, Questing Druid, make 2 Thopters. It's not too bad. Hard to imagine we'll be able to keep up with all the value of whatever's going on in this deck, but we might get lucky. So starting this turn, they can cast Atraxa if they have it. Looks like they don't, though. If all they're doing is Topiary Stopper, that might mean they just don't really have much of anything. Okay. So they have potentially 4 mana open. 3 cards that are not Shigeki. They can block with the Terra Stopper. It's tempting to go, kind of just go for it now, doing the hair raising on the tokens. We could do pump, play the creature, make another token, and do another pump. I think I'm gonna go a little more chill than that, not all in. Oh, I should have played the mouse first. That was a mistake. Oops. Alright, well, we're playing the mouse now. And we can kill the Stomper after we attack. I think we just attack with the tokens, just in case they have a Wandering Emperor. So in this instance, I think instead of killing the Stomper, we should just play Kumano. Because if they have a Wrath on their turn, they're going to kill their own Stomper anyway. Okay, so they're going to get back Sunball. Alright. Fair enough. Unfortunately here we can't really take advantage of this too much. We'll have to just cast Questing Druid on their turn and try to build up something. Oh, I see. I think that's fine. We can just... we can kill that at some point. Atraxa. Okay. Well, this is looking pretty difficult now. Okay. So we need to kill the Atraxa, which means we'll attack with both creatures. The Witchstalker Frenzies will be 2 mana each, so we'll probably Kumano, and then Pollen-Shield Hare. Alright. They might have a counterspell, in which case this is real bad. Okay, they don't. They can just eat the Skyclave, or they can eat the Kumano with the Skyclave. Okay. So we're kind of hoping now to draw another Heartflame Duelist and just finish them off. They do have 9 mana, so Hullbreaker Horror plus any 1 or 2 mana spell would be problematic. Okay. If we do draw a Pia, we do have stuff in exile and ways to get more in exile. That's good. What is this? Gain 3 life. Well, I don't think we want to block here. If we do draw a Pia, we want to be able to pump the tokens with the Hare, so we're just gonna have to let them have it. Although that does give them 2 mana with the briefcase. That's a Pia. Okay, well, I think we just have to hope that they don't have anything. It's worth considering doing that in the opposite order and just giving up on the counter on the Questing Druid. Just so it's less likely they can counter the Hare. But if they have a Make Disappear, they could casualty it anyway. Okay. Scribe Oath to the top. Okay. Great. That was a really impressive game. They just had so much value, doing so many things for so long. They had this 8/8 on the battlefield for a bunch of turns. They had an Atraxa we had to double spell to get rid of. They had this Hullbreaker Horror in hand that they never got to cast because they were under too much pressure. Awesome. And we're back to wrap up. This deck is a lot of fun. What changes would I make going forward? Well, I would like more removal. I would like more card draw. But I have no idea what to cut to add anything. It's an incredibly tight deck list. I did see a recent online tournament was won by a Naya tokens list that was playing Pia, but it was also playing Wedding Announcement, Virtue of Loyalty, and such things instead of most of the adventure creatures. It's certainly a deck that you can rank up with. I probably have been winning about 55% of my games. So you can definitely rank up. You're not going to make it to number one mythic or anything like that, of course. But if you want a fun deck to play that can definitely win you some games, this might be the choice for you. I'll see you in the next one.